Thanks to Anthony, I've talked a lot about losing here on Brad Carroll's Game Day. And sure, there's been a lot of winning on this side of the table, but we all know losing is a lot more fun to talk about. But my focus this week isn't on Anthony, or even Craig, who had just one win last week. No, I'm going to talk about the biggest losers in college football, the Big East.
Or as we like to call them, the Big Least. Look, we all know the Big East is full of underachieving teams, and one of them is going to get to go to a BCS Bowl, and everyone's going to complain about it. That one team will get a chance to pull a big upset and maybe make a statement. But we don't know who's going to get to that bowl. We've got a lot of games that have implications, and hey, we finally get a chance to talk about the Big East on the show.
Yeah, we're going to break down 3 of those games this week, the biggest of which will come Saturday night when UConn plays South Florida for the right to play in a BCS Bowl. That's right, the UConn Huskies, with 4 losses, could play in one of the marquee games at season's end. Anthony, tell everyone how that happens.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. UConn, which started an abysmal 3-4, is in the driver's seat. If they win Saturday, they go to a BCS Bowl, the first one in their history. Pitt needs the most help. They need UConn and West Virginia to lose and themselves to win. West Virginia needs UConn to lose and themselves to win. The reason why it plays out that way is because if UConn, West Virginia, and Pitt all finish tied, UConn beat both those teams head-to-head. That's why they're in the driver's seat unexpectedly.
Yeah. If the Huskies do end up getting that spot in the BCS, they shouldn't apologize. They're just playing within the system. If there was a playoff, no one would care that UConn would get an automatic bid by winning the conference. But in this system, UConn, representing the Big East in a game of this magnitude, is embarrassing to both the school and the conference. There's no way around that.
I kind of agree with you there. Look, it would be embarrassing to the conference to have UConn or any one of those teams go to a BCS Bowl and what most people presume will happen and get blown out. But it's not UConn's fault, as you said, and they should not be embarrassed or apologize to anyone if they get a chance to go to their first BCS Bowl in history. It's what they were looking to do at the beginning of the season, and if they get there, it'll be huge for that school.
Yeah, I will say the Big East will be praying that West Virginia somehow gets that spot, because nothing good can come from the Huskies playing in a BCS game. UConn won't even be able to play the underdog role because no one would care, and that's worse than hate. If UConn is running on the field come January on national television, the Big East will go into hiding because this could be the beginning of the end for the conference getting an automatic BCS bid. Thank God TCU, a team that should get plenty of love in California in the Rose Bowl, is arriving to save the day.
See, I don't think they're arriving to save the day. Look, TCU's a great program. They're going to do great things in the Big East. But what happens if Gary Patterson at some point leaves, gets a better job? Then is someone going to come in and keep TCU going? We've seen what happened with Louisville. They've struggled after they had a coaching change a few years ago when people thought they had finally gotten on top. So TCU, great team, but I'm not convinced that they're going to make the Big East this great thing that everyone thinks they are.
Maybe not a great thing, but they are definitely the class of that conference right now.
Yeah, better, absolutely.
All right, we'll get to UConn-South Florida in a bit. But for now, we got 7 games, 7 picks on Championship Saturday. You ready to kick things off?
I am, well, I was ready to kick things off until this guy. Craig is back.
Craig Carroll is back. We have his statement for me to read, a Championship Saturday statement.
Yeah, I'm surprised he showed his face after one win last week. But
I'm not sure he's, well, at least showing a piece of paper.
Well, yeah, not a face. Never shows a face.
All right, here is his statement. It's Championship Saturday, and there are a couple of very good games. But don't worry, Brad, UConn won't get to a BCS Bowl this year, or any other for that matter.
I guess he's convinced as you are.
The 3 of us all had bad weeks last week, and I was at the bottom with only 1 win, which for me is unacceptable. Unlike Anthony, who thrives at being subpar.
The subpar guy who is more subpar than anyone else is throwing shots again? He likes to do that.
There's too many subpars in there. And Brad, who are you kidding? You live in Connecticut and you love UConn. I guess I do live in Connecticut. On to my picks. Oregon State getting 16.5. Oklahoma giving 6. Florida State getting 4. South Florida giving 1.5. West Virginia giving 20.5. Pitt getting 2. And for my game of the week, the now cleared Cam Newton leads number 1 Auburn, a 6-point favorite, into the SEC title game against South Carolina with the national title game at risk. Win and the Tigers are in. Lose and it's TCU who goes. I picked TCU from day 1 to be in the title game, and I'm sticking with it, as South Carolina uses ball control offense and pounding Marcus Lattimore down Auburn's throat en route to a 24-21 victory.
That is a big upset pick, and as you might guess, I probably will have the same one because you remember I told you several weeks ago that no team from a BCS conference would finish the same season undefeated. I thought that would be last week when Alabama had a huge lead over Auburn, but Alabama blew it. I don't know if the comeback is to Auburn's credit or if it's Alabama's failure, but let's get to this game. Everyone's talking about Auburn. South Carolina absolutely has a chance to win this game. It's not that far-fetched. Don't forget, South Carolina led at Auburn early this year going into the fourth quarter before two key Stephen Garcia fumbles kind of changed the momentum. He ended up getting pulled late in that game and South Carolina lost. Garcia will have to take care of the ball if South Carolina wants to pull the upset, and they'll have to have a big game. Unlike Craig, I think it's got to be on the arm of Stephen Garcia that South Carolina wins this. He's going to have to outplay Cam Newton. I think he will do that. South Carolina wins 26-24. BCS chaos for those who enjoy that.
Wow, Anthony picks the upset. Craig's picking two big things to happen in this one, and I actually hope Craig is right. Having TCU in the title game would be huge and would probably get us closer to a playoff system, but I'm just not sure South Carolina has what it takes to beat Auburn. Cam Newton will play after being cleared, for now, of wrongdoing by the NCAA, and the Tigers should be able to continue their unbelievable run this season and play for a national title. Auburn 27, South Carolina 20. Next is the Civil War featuring number 1 Oregon, traveling to Oregon State as 16.5-point favorites. This game is simple for Oregon. Win and the Ducks play for a national championship. Oregon has been my pick since early in the season to win the title, but will the Ducks get that opportunity?
I've been eyeing this game several weeks ago when I, said what I said about teams losing, and I thought Oregon would lose this game, but I didn't know Oregon State would come in having lost to 4 and getting pounded by Stanford last week. So that pick doesn't look so good, but I am sticking with it. You never know what can happen in rivalry games. You might remember in 2007, West Virginia, all they had to do was beat a dismal Pitt team to get into the national championship game. They got beat, and they did not play well at all in that game, so expect the unexpected in those games. I say it happens again. Oregon State 38-37.
Wow. While this game is a big rivalry and those matchups can go either way, like Anthony said, Oregon is just too good for the Beavers and will win this game. The only question is whether or not the Ducks can win by 17. Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's only one team I trust to win big, and that doesn't stop here. Oregon 45, Oregon State 24. The ACC Championship features number 20 Florida State and number 12 Virginia Tech, a 4-point favorite. The Hokies have risen from the dead after losses to Boise State and James Madison, winning 10 straight games and are one more win away from the Orange Bowl. Does the Hokies run continue?
I think it does. The Hokies have been on fire since their bad start, as you mentioned. And you know what? They've been the class of the ACC since joining in 2004. Some statistics for you. They're 49-11 against conference foes in that time. They've won 3 conference titles, including going 2-1 in the championship game. However, that one championship game loss was to Florida State. Since joining the ACC, the Hokies are 1-2 against Florida State, the only team that they have a losing record against in the ACC. But, you know what? Tyrod Taylor has his team rolling, and if not for those early 2 losses, he may be in the Heisman discussion. I think the Hokies continue to get it done. 11 straight for them, 31-24.
Make no mistake, the ACC is down big this year, but Virginia Tech is clearly the class of the conference, and the Hokies will beat Florida State rather easy Saturday night. Virginia Tech 31, Florida State 21. The Big 12 championship has number 13 Nebraska taking on number 10 Oklahoma in Dallas. The Sooners, a 6-point favorite, were impressive in their win over Oklahoma State last week, while Nebraska had its way with Colorado. So this one could be the most competitive title game of the day.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be that way, but I will say this. Do you think the Big 12 wants Nebraska in its last season to walk out of there as champions of the conference? Absolutely not, and Oklahoma will make sure that doesn't happen. Landry Jones has had the Sooners rolling of late. Meanwhile, his counterpart, Taylor Martinez, is questionable. Without them, okay, you can get by a Colorado team, but I don't think without a full-strength Taylor Martinez, Nebraska can beat a team of Oklahoma's caliber. I'm going with the Sooners 30-20.
Yeah, Nebraska hasn't played well in a big game on the national stage, and that's exactly what this is. As Anthony said, Oklahoma is playing for more than just its chance at a BCS Bowl. It's playing for the entire conference, as Nebraska is leaving to join the Big Ten. That's a lot of pressure, but I believe the Sooners will get the job done. Oklahoma 24, Nebraska 17. Switching to our 3-pack of Big East matchups, we have Rutgers traveling to number 23 West Virginia as 20.5-point underdogs. Rutgers is a shell of a team it was just a few years ago, while West Virginia is still hoping to win the Big East title. Does West Virginia win the game?
I think they do. You mentioned, Rutgers just a few years ago. Everyone was talking about, oh, finally Rutgers football has arrived under Gary Schiano. He was a hot coaching name. Not anymore. Rutgers has been terrible. They've lost 5 straight games. The last 2 games, they've given up 109 combined points. Meanwhile, West Virginia, the only ranked team in the Big East, probably the best team in the Big East right now, even though they're not in control of their own destiny to go to a BCS game. I still think West Virginia gets it done easily, 40-10.
Yeah, West Virginia needs to make a statement, and Rutgers is going to suffer because of it. The Knights have lost 5 straight games in one of the most disappointing seasons in school history, and that losing skid won't stop in Morgantown. West Virginia 41, Rutgers 14. Next up is Pittsburgh visiting Cincinnati as 2-point underdogs. Pittsburgh was the preseason favorite to win the Big East, but has become a team simply fighting to qualify for a bowl game. Can Pitt bounce back against Cincinnati?
I don't know if it matters whether they can win or not. Inconsistency has derailed Pitt all season long. That's why they are where they are. They had those huge preseason expectations. They lost their first game, and they've really never gotten any momentum since then. Cincinnati, though, they've been even worse. They have a new coach this year in Butch Jones, and he hasn't been able to follow up on the back-to-back conference championships that Cincinnati won. Expect an ugly game, full of mistakes, turnovers, creating points. I think Pitt will win. I don't know if it'll make their fans happy, but they'll win this game 31-29.
Yeah, Pitt is playing for a bowl game, while Cincinnati is simply playing out the season, which should favor the Panthers. The Bearcats are playing at home, but I believe the motivation factor will come into play and lead Pitt to the upset. Pittsburgh 27, Louisville 23. Finally, Connecticut travels to South Florida as 1.5-point underdogs. We all know the circumstances that surround the game. Craig has already picked South Florida to win. Anthony, which way are you going?
These are 2 hot teams, so it could go either way. South Florida has won 4 of 5, but they've all been close games. Their biggest margin of victory was 8 during that stretch. Meanwhile, UConn has won 4 straight, redeeming themselves from that terrible start. No one, at the beginning of the season, people thought, hey, they could win the conference maybe. Halfway through the season, no one thought that. Now they're where they are. And if the team is as resilient as I think it is, and if Edsel is the coach I think he is, he's back on, everyone talking about, is he going to get another job? Is he going to leave? If that all holds true, I expect the Huskies to win, and they're going to do it behind Jordan Todman, 23-20.
Wow, part of me wants UConn to win the game so the current BCS system finally blows up once and for all. But South Florida is coming off a big win over Miami, and that momentum will propel the Bulls to victory and save the Big East for now. South Florida 28, UConn 24. With that, we wrap up another edition of Brad Carroll's Game Day. Be sure to check out the print version every Saturday in the pages of the Bristol Press and New Britain Herald, on my blog at bradcarrollgameday.blogspot.com, and don't forget College Game Day Rewind exclusively on my blog. For Anthony, I'm Brad. We'll see you next week.
And a reminder that just because the regular season's over doesn't mean we're done. We'll be back with you in the coming weeks for bowl projections and all kinds of fun stuff, so stay tuned.